Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Big Brother Manna Podcast. Today I have my brother Alex, all the way from the beaches of California. The real reason my laptop is still on California time still, not my own laziness, just in preparation to welcome my new guest. But I'm going to let him introduce himself, so go right ahead, Alex.
Nice. Johnny, my brother, thanks so much for having me, dude. I'm just so excited about what you're doing here. Like, as soon as I saw you release episode 0, like your little prologue thing or prologue thing, I was like, I just resonated with it so much. But
my way
Alexx
too soon
Amylon.
ramble.
I live out way too soon.
Yeah, because I did that and then didn't have anything else to follow it up with for like a week or two.
But yeah, my name's Alexx Amylon. Nice. Ready?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. So yeah, my name's Alexx Amylon. Live out in Southern California. Currently pursuing a career in professional beach volleyball. It doesn't currently pay the bills, so I do a lot of coaching of beach volleyball, like on the side, or really as much as I can, because that's my sole form of income right now. Love gaming, love tabletop games, love playing music, love sports. I feel like there are very few niches where Johnny, you and I do not overlap, to be honest.
I am not athletic, so it's true. But yeah, you brought up music. Obviously, that's how like you and I first like. I'll say like met because we kind of like had mutuals before that, and then like
Yeah.
And then like I met Pete through like different friends and all that. And you guys had the band, you two and Phil. And when Phil got hurt and couldn't play, you like canceled like the day of. And I'm like talking to Pete like, no, I'll do it. Tell me I'll do it. Like I was gonna learn the songs in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And Pete was like, probably
And you
not.
Did.
He was probably not tonight, but like, what about other ones? I'm like, yeah, let's freaking do
it. Yeah. I mean, I feel like for all intents and purposes, you basically learned all our songs in 2 hours, and you even helped us write a secret song behind Phil's back.
Oh my god!
And probably also less than 2 hours.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah.
That like I was just like playing something random, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Don't we already have something that sounds kind of like that, and we just kind of like toss the two together?
Yes. And we wrote the whole song. I think it was It's Been Years, right?
Oh yeah, it was definitely It's Been Years for sure.
It was It's Been Years. We did all the writing of the entire song completely behind Phil's back, and then we debuted it. We debuted it at a show with him, and he had no idea we were about to play it. He was just blown away by it.
He's like, I don't know this song. Am I still in this band?
Yeah, I remember his reaction, and that was one of the coolest moments I think we and I ever had on stage. Was like how he was totally blown away, and it was the coolest thing because we were so stoked to show him, and it went like exactly how we wanted it to go.
I think that was definitely one of like the first moments where I was like, all right, this is gonna be a lot of fun. Because like deep down, I felt kind of bad that I could only play bass and I couldn't learn like everything on everything, so you guys could like switch around like you were used to. Like I feel like I was like nerfing a big part of what you guys did by like only like learning the one instrument.
No. Actually, Johnny, like I think that you, at least for me, made it better because like I'm a drummer.
Deep down, you wanted the drum.
Like I belong behind the kit, and every time I tried to do something on guitar or on vocals anyway, it was like it just paled in comparison to what Phil and Pete were able to do.
That's
So
fair.
it put me exactly where I belonged, and I think it was great.
That's fair, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was awesome, man.
yeah.
So yeah, so
So
many
for
great
like
memories in the band.
piece one bridge together that I think we might have left out. The three of you are like literal brothers, and
Yes.
I jumped in to help out, and along the way it just became a thing that I was the fourth brother.
Yeah. Yeah, you 100% were. Like, as long as you were in the bitch and Aardvarks, your last name might as well be Amylon. Like,
I
100%.
actually give a lot of the credit to that becoming a running thing to Mary.
Really?
Because there was like a few times where you were like, you guys are like, we'll just crash here for the night and we'll just like go back to it tomorrow. I'm like, all right, whatever. And like, Mary was like, oh, we feed him too now or something like that. And like it all
That's
started from there. Because
yes.
like your dad or somebody was like, well, he's in the band, so he's obviously in the family.
Yes.
Like, but yeah,
Well,
I think
I think there was a trifecta of things that made you a member of the band. It was one, definitely replacing Phil.
it was the need.
Like,
It was the need to have someone like help you guys keep going or wait for him.
yeah. So there was like you actually being in the band with us. There was the fact that you would crash over and get fed and stuff. And then the third most important piece was the fact that you became another person that we passed the controller to when we would play PS1 Spider-Man.
That's how me and Pete spent my birthday.
Yes.
Passing the
Your
controller back.
most recent birthday?
Yeah, well, I don't want to say
Dude.
spent because eventually he went off to his volleyball game and I went to play friggin' Magic and Dice Throw with my other friends while he was doing that. But yeah, we spent the afternoon passing the controller back and forth playing Spider-Man on the PS1.
Dude, timeless. I have to ask you because I did watch some of your first episode with Posla TV,
Yeah.
and you spoke of somebody who made you play a very short snippet of FF9, and was it one of us? Was it either myself or Pete?
So it was definitely like there at the house that was like by the church there before Pete kind of moved to like a different house that was also by the church.
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
and everyone was there, but I think me and Pete started that after everyone else kind of like either went to bed or back to where they were or like on with their lives.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we had already finished Spider-Man.
Nice.
And he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna show you my favorite game." And then we played like 40 minutes of that. And then he got
Nice.
like kind of tired, and like I kind of like went home and didn't tell anybody. It was kind of awkward. So like Pete texted me
Just
the
kind
other
of
yeah,
Homer Simpson out of there.
yeah. I was kind of like, I'm a little stressed out. I want to go. I don't know. I struggle sleeping places that like aren't my own bed.
Oh, dude, I hear that.
uh,
I had that this past weekend. I was just like, I want to go home.
I can't even pretend I don't struggle sleeping in my own bed, to be honest. But having more to think about doesn't help. But yeah, it was definitely Pete who is my only Final Fantasy 9 experience. I actually have the game on the
Do you have
PlayStation
it?
Network, like so I can
Okay,
play it on my PS5 whenever I feel like it.
nice.
I just don't.
Yeah,
I just start. Well, we also talked about this last time, me and him, about how I love to start and not finish things.
same. I am so good at that. I'm
Mm.
so good at just dropping a game for no reason.
I either
And some other things too,
yeah,
like
that's
real life projects.
no facts same. I
Yeah,
let's see. I either go all in and do every single thing, or I play the first hour and move on.
yeah,
So like the new
that's
Spider-Man games on like the PS5 and all that, I went through like every single thing I could do on those.
nice.
I still gotta beat the new game plus for 2, but I mean that's not pertinent.
Yeah.
um, I'm actually playing Paper Mario 64 right now.
Okay, I saw that, and I was gonna ask you, like, when you decided to book uh our episode of the podcast for today. Today's May 23rd, which is the day that the Thousand Year Door for Switch comes out, which I know that you're looking forward to. So
Yeah.
I was wondering if I was pulling you away from that.
So my goal was to beat Paper Mario 64 in time for this.
Uh-huh.
It did not happen. So I think I'm about a halfway. Like I can't honestly remember like how long that game took me when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I had time to play it. I feel like I'm about halfway.
Nice.
Um, the Shy Guys just ransacked the Toad Town, so for
Nice.
people who for people who know the game well are probably like, you're like 20% in the game, dude. Calm down.
Yeah. I missed out on N64, unfortunately. I got a PS1 for Christmas. I mean, when was that? 2000,
Oh
2001
yeah, something like that.
maybe.
Yeah.
We were always a little late to getting those things, so I want to say PS2 probably was already out by the time we got our PS1. But that's where the love of Final Fantasy IX started, because I think like the first game I went out and bought ran to Walmart and it was there. So took that home and played that. But yeah, I didn't get a lot of the N64 experience.
Oh
I
man,
got
I feel like N64 was peak for me.
yeah, yeah, I know. I still feel that jealousy inside, but at least I got GameCube. GameCube was pretty sweet for us. A lot of
Yeah, I
good
had a
games I enjoyed
GameCube.
on
Um, my sister ended up inheriting the GameCube eventually.
that. Yeah,
Um, because I think I wanted to get the Xbox 360 at the time,
nice.
and like my family like offered to like pitch in what I didn't have if I like kind of like handed that over to my sister so she had something to do.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure she still has it to this day. Like I remember like pulling out Mario Party, whatever, 5 probably was GameCube.
Yeah, I think
Once,
4 through 7
yeah,
maybe were on the GameCube.
I feel like a good chunk of it was GameCube.
Yeah,
um,
definitely the good ones too.
I don't know. I feel like Mario Party 2 was peak for me. I don't know. I as franchises go like longer, I just wish they got simpler instead of more
Yeah,
expansive.
yeah,
So like I remember like actually talking to like a Twitch mutual about like Pokemon and like where it is now and
yeah,
how like amazing they did all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I hate to be like contrarian or whatever, but like I'd rather just boot up an old one. And I almost wish there were like simpler games to go to as well.
and dude, honestly, like I think first of all, I remember being a kid. Like obviously we were kids when that came out, and I played Red was the first one that I got.
Yeah.
And then obviously Gold and Silver came out after that, and I was like, wait, where are all the Pokemon that I love? Like,
Well, yeah, that's also
why?
part of Pokemon specifically. Is like you have to
And
constantly learn new people and
yeah, I was probably, I want to say I was like maybe 11 years old when Gold and Silver came out. And like to be that young and to like get your hands on a game that you played so much of, have it be a sequel and have no character essentially like repeat,
right.
especially right off the bat, I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, you have to like beat the game to go back to the old towns.
Yeah. Which
Uh,
eventually I think ended up being cool, but I agree, like maybe after like Ruby and Sapphire, I would have been okay with just like remaking
yeah,
red, blue, yellow.
even like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I'd rather just like traditional Zelda games that looked that good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like
Yeah, man.
as I get older, it's like I'm not outgrowing video games. Video games are like outgrowing me. Like they're getting
Yeah.
more and more advanced, and I just want to like play something that I'm used to for when I had time to play.
Dude, I hear you. I'm afraid. I'm like almost afraid to say this, and I've said it on Twitter before, so I guess like it's out there, but like Breath of the Wild just like doesn't do it for me.
Oh yeah,
Like
and I've tried multiple
I
times.
tried to. I've tried so many times, and I do really like Tears of the Kingdom. I think it's a fantastic game. Another
I
one I haven't finished.
I just didn't bother because I knew Breath of the Wild didn't do it for me. But yeah,
Yeah. So I was afraid when I picked it up, but I hyped myself up for things that I probably don't even need to, and that was one of them. And when I finally played it, I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I wanted Breath of the Wild to be, or what it should have been. Um, it was so empty for me, and like the weapon degradation wasn't great,
Oh yeah,
and
that drives me
it
nuts.
the hype to experience gap was just massive for me.
I I did enjoy the Link's Awakening like remaster or remake or I think
Yes,
those,
I was
but
just playing that yesterday.
oh really? Yeah, I finished that
Yeah,
when it came out. I wish they would do like the two Oracle games like in that art style.
dude. Yeah, I
That would
really
interest
want
me a
links.
lot.
I really want a Link to the Past in that art style.
That'd be fun too.
I would go pretty crazy. But also the Oracle games were awesome. Played those when I was a kid and like tempted to open up the Nintendo Switch Online thing and dabble with them, but yeah, I did play Link's Awakening a while ago when it came out, and then I picked it up again for some reason. It's something easy to like. I could do 10 minutes or I could do 2 hours. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I think that's how I was able to go all in on Spider-Man 2 like that. Was like
Yeah.
only having like an hour and a half to play didn't feel like it was impeding me the way it does with other games. Like I felt
Yes.
like I got like a pretty good chunk done in that hour, and I was actually able to be like, all right, I'm satisfied, and like go on with sleep and work for the next day. And like
Yeah.
as much as I wanted to keep going, at least there was like satisfying points like every so often.
Yeah. Dude, I hear you. Like, I just started playing Fallout 4 again,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm like, I need like 3 hours. I need I need 3 hour chunks just because I'm like I'm off doing God knows what, just messing around, like finding side quests and trying to do random level ups and find stuff. And like, that's a game that's so hard for me. I tried to put a time limit on myself, so I could be productive in other areas of life. And I was like, okay, the rule is 90 minutes and I have to be done by 8 p.m. so I can get to bed like at a decent time.
Right.
And I can't. Now I don't really play it because
Right. Right.
if I do, I break the rule, you
You
know?
break the rule.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I shouldn't. I say I should like try to manage myself more like that. Like I don't just get too tired to keep going anyway. Like
Yeah.
I go, oh, 11 o'clock, and my old back wants to lay down. um,
Yeah.
I actually so like the N64 was mine. Like when it became mine, like when they got it for
Mhm.
me one Christmas. So like before that, there was like an NES in the house that was like basically like my dad's, but obviously I came down here and played it all the time or whatever. So
Yeah, of
like,
course.
but because I was young and like it wasn't really like even mine, I kind of just like had what he had. So
Mhm.
like my first Zelda experiences like were those like 3D like Majora's Mask like Ocarina of Time like games.
Yeah.
And so like one of the first times I saw like the original like Legend of Zelda was actually Phil trying to play it without the sword.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, wow, this is so watered down as it is. How are you gonna do even less? Like
That's so funny, dude.
But yeah, that was
I
like one of
haven't Go ahead.
yeah, that was like one of the first times I even like really saw one of those like 2D. Like I that sounds like sacrilege now, but
Yeah.
but like I only like yeah, like the NES was like my dad's, and like what he had is what I had. Like I didn't really go out and get my own Nintendo games until I had my N64.
Right. That makes sense. I think I want to say my very first introduction to Zelda. So I think I have like two stories here. I think the first time I ever spectated a
Okay.
Zelda game was A Link to the Past because Phil had an NES and an SNES, but it was kind of during the time where he was playing the SNES more,
Right.
and it was also like you're my annoying younger brother and you're too young to touch my stuff,
Right.
so you don't get to play any of this. So I feel like that was probably the first time I was ever exposed to Zelda of any kind, and then I think playing it we had I had a Game Boy, or Robin had a Game Boy that ended up being mine, and I think she had the original Link's Awakening.
Oh, that's cool. Like
And
the
so yeah, played that. Then I played through the Oracle games because I got a Game Boy Color, and what would I have gone to from there? So I didn't have N64. I didn't get to play Ocarina of Time until I moved here
Oh, really?
and played it on my 3DS probably in like 2018 or something like that.
I wish I still had my 3DS for that reason, so I could pull up like Majora's Mask and
Yeah.
Ocarina that way. But
Yeah, I'm really glad that I still have mine because also I was able to grab all the Pokemon games that they had on the
oh yeah.
eShop or whatever.
Also, what was it on the 3DS? Link Between Worlds, I think was the actual like 3DS only.
Yeah, that's
Honestly, one of my
probably
favorites, to be honest.
dude, I put A Link Between Worlds in my top 3 Zelda games.
Yeah, for sure. Same, honestly.
I think it's so good. Where do you put Ocarina of Time?
Probably 2,
2?
and then Wind
2
Waker
feels fair.
1.
I have not played Wind Waker.
I know Wind Waker's like controversial,
I want to play it so bad.
but I don't know. I love like ocean life and
Yeah.
that kind of scenery.
I,
So
I love the art style too. Like I love the characterization of what they have kind of done. Even like little he's like kind of toonish Link in the Link's Awakening like HD
yeah,
remake. Like I like messing around with that stuff. Like that's probably why I like the Switch a lot because like I don't need things to look like real life. I just
right.
need a good game.
Yeah, I actually had this like I think it was like my tattoo artist of all people. We were talking about like graphics and games and everything because like she
Mhm.
just like honestly just started like gaming like recently because she watched
Yeah.
like the Last of Us shows, so she played the games because she watched the show, and then she like
Nice.
moved on to like Red Dead from there because someone suggested it or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and that's why she did my Last of Us tattoos because I had no idea what I wanted, and we both liked the games, and I was like, go wild, like,
That's sick.
yeah, just like do something fun for both of us like that.
Nice.
But anyway, yeah, so. And she's like, yeah, they look really good. She's like, it's hard to like when people suggest older games now because like my first experience just like looked amazing, and I
Mhm.
was like, yeah, but the thing like I've learned with like graphics is like the things that look amazing are like things that exist in real life.
Yeah.
Like I can go outside and see a realistic tree. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so as long
That's
as
a good
like the
point.
artwork is cool and
Yeah.
like there's a direction to it, I feel like that's more important than like the quality necessarily.
Yeah. Dude, I would
Like the art style
agree.
over like the graphic capability is more important to me.
Yeah. Like I totally agree. Like I have a PS4 that probably at this point is at the end of its little life and like I played Warzone when it was like when it came out and I had buddies who played it and it was cool and all, but like I also don't mind playing like a Fortnite if I'm gonna play like a battle royale. Like as long as it's good. Like
Yeah, right.
they've done so many different things with their different seasons and chapters that has made it either good or like better or worse depending on the time if that's like your type of game and like I don't care that the way it looks as long as it's fun.
Yeah, I actually have only done that new Guitar Hero mode they like put into Fortnite. What's it like festival or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
I played very little of the actual battle royale for it.
Yeah,
Uh,
true.
because like the only real battle royale I played extensively was Apex Legends, and
Yes.
even then, I didn't really like start playing out of interest of playing a shooter. It was just
Mhm.
like the friends I made in California would always be like, all right, we're going home to play Apex Legends, and like eventually they just convinced me to download it and jump on too, and it all just unfolded from
Nice.
there. Yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly why I started playing Fortnite. Like it came out, I think in 2018 when I moved here, and like all my homies from back home were like, "We're playing Fortnite. You got to get on." And I'm just like, "Okay, like as long as we get to stay in contact, like I'll figure out how to play this
right.
game."
That's valid.
Yeah, yeah. Graphics are funny. Like one of my favorite games is Minecraft, and that game just looks
It's literal
like
cubes.
Minecraft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like literally cubes.
Like it's just squares everywhere, you know?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, my all of my like what I consider like my favorite games are all like old games that I still just remember fondly. So like Kirby's Adventure is probably like I'd say is my favorite game ever. Like the
Is
NES, like
that
Kirby.
is that NES or SNES?
It was NES, and then
Nice.
I know they put like they put it on like the 3DS shop with like 3D capability, which I always turned off.
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
you're like
I loved the 3DS. I did not like 3D very much.
I wanted to so bad because I was like the tech seems really cool and that's kind of the point of this whole device, and
Yeah.
I forced it.
Nah, it made
It's
my head
like,
hurt.
yeah, I definitely forced it a little
3D doesn't
bit.
work for me. I don't really care for VR, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't really messed with it that much. Like you said, if I want to try to experience real things, I'll just go outside.
Yeah, I mean, I uh, I might crack because I know one of the Horizon games they did like a VR Horizon game, like Horizon Zero Dawn,
Yeah.
and like I'm a big fan of those two games, and eventually I'll probably want to play like that one too.
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds crazy.
and I know they did like a Ghostbusters. Ooh, that sounds
That
like it'd
sounds
be
sick.
yeah. I mean, I love Ghostbusters.
I like kind of not so much gaming, but along the lines of VR. Like I was watching some podcasts where someone was talking about the Vision Pro stuff and how you can like basically put yourself anywhere. Like there was a demo that he saw in the Vision Pro of this girl walking like a tightrope across two mountains or something like that. And I thought the idea of kind of being able to maybe confront a fear, put yourself in a tough
So
situation, like
like you see it through their eyes, kind of.
yeah, so basically they filmed it from the perspective of the person actually doing this in real life, and then you put on the goggles and you see it from their perspective. So like I have like a little bit, I don't have a little bit, I have a pretty insane fear of heights,
Oh,
especially
oh
like
yeah.
hiking and like mountain like cliff faces and stuff.
I
So
don't like looking down the stairs as I walk down them. I like,
yeah.
like the fear of falling is just awful for me, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be falling down anything.
yeah.
I agree.
I
So like
I've had multiple
no,
family members die from falling down a staircase. I mean, they were already old, but
really.
so it's always like in the back of my mind. Like my family tends to fall downstairs.
Dude, that's crazy. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear
Well,
that.
yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since it happened, but yeah.
But yeah, like sort of confronting a fear, like where you can access at least the sense of like sight is pretty crazy to me, and I think that that could be cool,
Mm.
but like playing
You
a game maybe.
did you ever read like the Ready Player One and Ready Player Two, like the books?
I haven't, no.
Oh, that's like a big thing in like the second one. Is like there was like a
Mhm.
new headset or whatever that like accessed that world or whatever that people could like
Yeah,
record their memories and upload them, and then people could like
interesting.
download them and like relive that memory.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, except they were like having the feeling sensations too or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, like haptic actual
right.
feedback.
But like that's what made this like book like the escalation was like it wasn't like even like haptics. It was like in your brain, like touching whatever in your brain made you think you were feeling what that person was feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
that's why
Have
VR
you
terrifies me like a 10% much.
yeah.
I'm like, are we like Fortnite's already dangerously going down that road with like just everyone lives there and like everything, every piece of media exists there and like.
True. Yeah, true. That's scary.
What were you gonna say before I said that?
Um, sort of the idea of what you were talking about in the second Ready Player One or Ready Player Two, is it called?
Yeah, it's Ready Player Two. But yeah,
Um, I just watched a show called Three Body Problem. Have you seen that?
no, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah, so it's on Netflix. It's about like essentially these groups of scientists all over the world like start killing themselves essentially, and they find out that some of them have been playing this game that's like a VR headset thing where
Oh
they
shit.
they enter this other world and everything feels super real to them, and it
Yeah.
just reminded me of that.
Yeah, no, that's like the exact kind of like weird like kind of books I read that make me terrified of these things actually happen. like
Yeah, yeah.
like my favorite author Blake Crouch has a book like Recursion, and like essentially like someone like made a machine that like I don't even it wasn't even like time travel. It's
Hmm.
just like people were like going back to old memories and then they were able to like relive it, which unfolded like a different future from there, essentially. And
Ooh, that's
like,
really cool.
but what like kind of like related it to what you were talking about was once people that weren't that person got to like the point of their life where that person went back from, all of those old memories came back. And it became too much for them to handle, and they ended up killing themselves because it was just too much for their brain. And like, so like the big plot of the book is him like continuously trying to go back to a point where like people don't. Yeah, it's
It's called Recursion.
recursion. Yeah,
That sounds wild. I might have to pick that up.
and like the whole thing is like time isn't like always moving away from you. It's like a book, and you can open to the page again, and like the machine like open that part of your brain or whatever. Yeah, and so like they'd go back to a memory, relive it, change something, which just changed their whole like the book starts with him given the chance to go back and like essentially stop his daughter from dying or whatever.
Okay.
But then his daughter gets to the point where he does that, and all the memories of her dying come back. You know what I mean? And like,
Oh,
right,
that's
right, right,
insane.
right. Yeah, exactly.
That's wild.
Right. So that's like the kind of like wild shit that like I read for fun, but then makes me go, but like this can't happen, right? Like, like this, like, I'm not gonna remember something someday and be like,
That would be insane.
yeah, but yeah, he writes a lot of like weird stuff. Like he has a show on Apple TV right now, like Dark
Hmm.
Matter. I don't know if you heard of it,
Oh,
but
I
like
have heard of this.
yeah, but like it's a book, like, and he's been in like he helped write the show and everything. So I don't have
Nice.
Apple TV, so I've just been watching him post about it. But
Nice. I know that Three Body Problem, I think, was a book that
yeah,
became that show.
I would say it almost sounds like something he'd write, but I think I'm caught up on everything.
Yeah.
Because once I read Dark Matter, I was like, all right, I need more, and I just kept writing. And then his last book, Upgrade, I actually get on his Instagram. Like, if you order it from like his local bookstore or whatever, he was gonna sign them all first before they sent them out. So I have it like
Cool.
signed to me and everything from him and everything. So
That's awesome.
that's my cool book.
I
That's my cool book.
don't think I have any cool books that are signed. I have a bunch of comics that are signed,
That's pretty
which is
sick.
pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that's probably cooler. Like people will probably
Yeah, maybe.
like people will
Did
probably
you?
A pay money for that or be interested. Mine's just cool for
Yeah.
me. Mine's
Yeah.
just cool to me.
Were you ever into comics? Like, I know you're into the
Yeah,
comic
I like
universes.
so like in high school I tried to,
Mm-hmm.
and like it was stupid to let this bother me because now I realize there was nothing that could be done about it. It's just like there's just too much that I already hadn't seen, and it's just always something to keep up with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, well, I mean, eventually I just realized it was easier to just like open up like Google and like look up lore and like you know what I mean and like
Yeah.
familiarize myself with the characters, and then this way like when a movie came out I could be like, I know what this character's about, and like I could make comparisons and whatever else. But
Yeah. So I got really lucky. Do you know, are you aware of the New 52? New
oh yeah,
52?
yeah,
So at the time I got into comics, it was a buddy of mine uh who got me into him, and he's like, I was like, I had that same attitude. I was like, dude, like these universes are so deep and so wide, and like I'm not gonna know what's going on. And then he was like, oh well, you're lucky because they're restarting like every DC character from like the beginning. And I was like, oh okay, I guess I'll jump in on this. And then it
perfect.
was like it was half this thing of like I really enjoyed reading them, and the stories were sick, and they were some characters that I like. Some of them I loved, like Batman, and some of them I grew to like the Flash and things like
Is
that. And
question in that? I feel like
question,
question. I feel like questions. Maybe I'm thinking of something else, but
I'm not sure.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's like I mostly know him from the Justice League cartoon, to be honest. But he's just like a dude. I don't even think he has a power really, but like his face is blank and like he just wears like a trench coat and like
Really?
yeah, I'm pretty
I
sure
don't.
like
I don't remember him in any of the books that I read, but I
yeah,
made it maybe like I don't know, maybe like a year
I
before
mean
I
that's fair.
stopped collecting them. But it was cool because, like, on one hand, I was like, yeah, these stories are really entertaining and stuff, but also, like, I treated it as kind of like a collectible that I'm holding
Right.
on that I could maybe sell or something down the road.
That's what I wasn't doing. Well, like I was just like trying to like get my hands on like anything to have stuff. And then once
Yeah.
I realized what I had was like all disconnected from each other
Mm-hmm.
and like just it was literally just stuff like I was just getting my hands on from other people. So it was like already in shambles. So you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so I was like, all right, well I'm not like building anything worth showing off and like I'm not actually like learning any cohesive story or plot. I just go to
You're just
hold up and
like
stop.
grabbing
Yeah, yeah,
stuff
yeah. No,
everywhere.
yeah. Like, people like, yo, you can have this. I'm like, all right, thanks, cool. And then I read like 20 pages of unrelated content to the last thing somebody gave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like opening the dictionary to random words
Right,
and being
right,
like,
right.
all right.
You know the episode of Friends when he gets like the friggin' one encyclopedia book.
Yes.
Yeah, that's and he
It's
just
like
trying.
E or something, isn't
It's
it?
like V because Mount Vesuvius
V.
is like the only thing
Yeah,
he knows
yeah.
about. So he's like trying to like steer the conversation to like Mount Vesuvius.
Dude, that's so funny.
Yeah, that's what I was doing with comic books. I had volume V and I didn't know.
Oh, that's hilarious. So
Oh
funny.
man. Do you read
So,
a lot like of like novels or
so I am obsessed with trying to just be better, like
no?
with
That's facts.
everything I do, especially with volleyball, like because I'm trying to make a career out of it.
Right.
So I like relentlessly read self-help books. But I'm almost like there's this guy, his name's Dan Coe. Have you ever heard of him?
The name sounds familiar, but I can't actually put a
He's
finger on why.
He's like a really big like Twitter slash YouTube personality, and he's like into self improvement and like philosophy and writing and stuff. And his
Right.
big thing is like building a business like for yourself.
Gotcha.
And he has this term that he calls like being stuck in tutorial hell, where like you'll watch a bunch of stuff or you'll consume a bunch of stuff that's supposed to make you better, but you don't like go beyond that point. And like
Attacked.
I'm kind of guilty of that with these
Attacked.
books. Or it's like if I absorb this information, it has to like subconsciously implement into my life, right?
I
So
just I just listened to an audiobook of one that's like unfuck yourself or something like that.
yeah,
And
I
he
think
kind
I've
of
heard of this.
he like talks about that like if this is just like one of X amount of like self-help books you're gonna like read and be like I'm gonna do that someday, like don't bother. But
Yeah.
but like if you're gonna like listen, like hear some harsh realities and learn something, then like by all means keep
Yeah.
reading. I'm like damn friggin' called out. Like
Yeah.
that's not even just like that's just who I am as a person. We like even with like gaming, I just start games and never finish.
Yeah.
Like I'll buy like
Yeah,
8
so
Lego sets and do one of them. Like,
nice.
like it's just who I am as a person. I just get like really ambitious and then go, I don't have time for all this shit. What was I thinking?
Yep. I pretty much mostly align with that, except I go, fuck, this takes a lot more work than I want to do.
That's like a big thing about that book was like changing like your verbiology to like I'm willing to and I'm not willing to, and so like I can and
Yeah.
I can't, and like I don't have time for, or like it's like I'm
Yeah.
willing to like do this or I'm yeah. So like that's like a good way to put it. To be honest.
Dude, I love that. Like one of the things that I've been trying to do more of for myself is like reframing how I
Mm,
either see situations or even the words that I use
right.
around situations.
Because even he
Um,
says like, because like instead of like saying like, oh, like I can't lose this weight, if you're like, oh, like I'm unwilling to go to the gym today, like at least even like if that doesn't snap you out of it, like you don't feel as bad when you don't go because you were honest with yourself and like you didn't like set yourself up to disappoint yourself, and like
yeah.
it's just like a complete mindset flip in both ways like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. One thing that I've been trying to like do, so I've been telling myself that I lack discipline and I'm lazy, and which like sometimes that's super true. And it's just like I'm trying to do more of the stuff that like I don't want to do, or get excited about the stuff I don't want to do. Like even being an athlete and like having played sports almost my entire life, like
I was gonna
it
say you probably do more unlazy activity in one day than I do in
maybe, I don't know, but
a.
sometimes like I can either tend to be like not nice to myself for not doing those things, or it's still hard like to go to the gym like every day and to do recovery and to cook all the good meals and stuff like that. It's still a pain in the ass to do.
I mean, that's fair.
So I'm trying to like reframe some things around that, where it's like, even though this is hard and it doesn't feel good, like it's a form of like backing myself. So one thing that I have found that I'm not super good at is like being my own backer, which is why like this whole podcast thing resonated with me so much, because as soon as you described like the whole Big Brother energy thing, I was like, dude, that is literally fucking me to a T,
Yeah.
man. Like it's so much easier for me to be like, fuck yeah, you can do this, than like, fuck yeah, I can do
Right.
this.
Like, yeah, dude, I'll like push everything my friends do to the moon for them, and then like I can't like I don't sit down and hit stream like start stream myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
So I've been trying to like treat like hard shit or stuff that I don't want to do that I know is going to be good at for me as like a way of backing myself. Like that's my current mantra and my current mindset. It's like
right.
don't don't give in to being lazy, just like back yourself, like show up for yourself, you know what I mean? Because like sometimes there's a time and a place to like, sit in bad feelings and like take some time off and go easy on yourself.
Right.
But then there's also times where it's like, no, the self-care for me is like really actually doing the things that you don't want to do but are going to be really good for you, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's a switch that's really flipped for me, because I always thought of self care as like, take it easy, don't do like something, like maybe don't push yourself, which again, there's a time and place, but like several days in a row of just like coming home and taking a nap instead of like getting myself to the gym and moving my body and taking a walk and getting sunlight on my face, like,
Right.
you got to draw the line somewhere.
I I definitely find like the weirdest ways to motivate myself.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's like I put it with I was talking about with my coworkers, like because like they don't like believe me when I like talk about like how like depressed and like anxious I get, like and all that stuff. Because like I show
Yeah.
up, I do my job, I do it well. Well, I mean as well as you can do like the stupid meaningless job like mine, and like and like I do it with a smile and like I joke around with them and like you were saying, like I encourage every single thing they say they want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like there are literally mornings like I lay there for like 20 minutes, and like if I don't get up the second I get up, I'm not gonna even make it today. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and like I just sit there just debating, like, nope, I think today's the day I'm just gonna lay here and they'll deal with it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and like it's like I gotta find like the competitive like nature in me to like get through those moments to be like, all right, I hate losing, and like if I like don't do something I have to do today because like I laid in bed depressed, then I lost and like depression won. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I hate losing, so I gotta get up and I gotta go to work.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like it's just like it just rewiring your brain, I guess, to just like reframe the way you think about things to like whatever motivates you to get it done. I guess.
Yeah.
Like
Dude, I hear that like 100%, and it can be so hard. Like even you saying like I need to win like over depression or something like that. It's like being able to discern like the you that wants to get the win versus the you that that might be tricking you, like saying negative things to yourself, or like pushing you to like not do what's in your own best interest. Like that's hard, but it's nice to know. I think for me at least is like the one who wants to win is really who you are and what makes up the person that does the winning. And it's not so much like the depression or the anxiety or the negative thoughts, even though it really feels like that.
yeah,
um but like having the awareness to try to like separate that and take a step back from it and recognize that like it's not you can, I think, be empowering. That's something that like helps me because
One of
like
like the deepest things I've ever heard in like a podcast that's not deep whatsoever, but he just hit a note once.
yeah,
Um, was it was like the tattoo artist Kyle Dunbar. Do you ever watch Ink Master?
no,
Oh, there was like a season where a dude like basically got thrown out for trying to fight one of the judges, and
really
it was ironically that guy, but
nice.
but he was saying like, if you've ever heard of like that saying like, oh, there's two wolves inside of you or whatever, and like the one that gets fed, and he's like, no, there's like 100 wolves inside of you, and you're the one feeding them. So if you're
Yeah,
watching garbage on TV, you're feeding the wrong wolf, and like you're feeding the wolf
yeah,
that's gonna make you not want to like do what's best for you, and like not that it's like bad to enjoy something, because like they're in you for a reason, and they all have to like eat and survive, but like you have to like pay attention to like which one you need and which one you're paying attention to and which one you're taking care of. And I'm like, damn, that just fits so well. Because like,
yeah,
there's like that competitive me that I have to like call upon to get through those moments. And it's like last week we were talking about, me and him were like, how like there's like the performer in me that like shows itself when I need to like play music or like do something like this or like go to work and I don't feel like it. And just like, all right,
yeah,
well, like I'll just take over into like please the crowd mode, and like I almost don't even recognize that me anymore. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's just like I said, it's like Yugi and the Pharaoh last week. Just like I need to like just pull on that performer that lives in my brain and just like it just takes over. But like I just
yeah,
like I've come a long way from when I first came back from California
yeah,
by putting that into perspective and like learning like what I need to do in situations to get through those situations. And part of that is like realizing like, yeah, like it's like weird to feel that way, that like even though like you're really anxious and like anxiety ridden and almost shy, but like every now and then, like because you like to play music, just like there's a musician in you that takes over. But it's just
mm,
like instead of like treating myself like I'm weird for it, like I don't know, I almost like talk about it like it's like a good thing now. You know what I mean? Like it's like a pro of mine. Like I'm able to just like flip a switch and like adapt to the situation I'm in.
yeah. Dude, I think that's a superpower, and it reminds me of a book that I read called The Confident Mind, which if anyone in the beach volleyball community happens to come across this episode, they're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about because it's literally been running rampant through like all the professional beach volleyball players
Oh
out
really?
here in Southern California. Oh yeah. And one of the big principles in this book is this guy talks about building up your mental bank account. Like it's about confidence, but like confidence isn't like just because you might lack confidence in sport, like there's probably a parallel road that you're walking in your life separate from sport that like that same like lack of confidence is coming from.
Mm,
So I like this principle as a principle for not just like performance but for life, and it's like he talks about the mental bank account. And one of the big things that you can do for yourself like whenever you're doubting yourself in a situation is like you have a reel that you can go back to of like all the times that you've been successful either in that situation or within that aspect of life, and then you can call upon those and like almost give yourself evidence. You cash out some of that mental currency or that positive currency that you've built up in your mental bank account to get yourself through that situation. And for what you're just saying now, like it feels like being a musician and being able to have confidence in front of people, at least in that fashion, allows you to call upon that piece of you or that evidence that has shown up, and you can do it in another setting. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, like confidence does exist in me somewhere. I just have to I have to pull it back
Yeah,
out. Yeah, and I have proof of that. I get what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's so cool that like I mean I love all the different like intersections of life because like being a musician performing on stage can like help you in conversations at work or like whatever it is, or me like sitting on the court, like ready to receive a serve, and like talking to myself there about like wanting to get that ball is the same thing as like I want to be in these social situations that might be uncomfortable for me. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's interesting.
Yeah. This is all because we got attacked by different but similar self-help books about actually wanting to do the work and if we're gonna do
Yeah,
it. That's
true.
what was that one you were saying? Because I'll probably just add that to my list now. Speaking of
The confident mind.
the confident mind, yeah, because
Yeah,
I
it's a
like
really
alternate right now. Like I'll read something fiction and then something that's like biographical and then something fiction and then something that's self-help and I'll just
nice.
work through that pattern over and over again.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Like the mental bank account's sick. And it's so funny because I used to do this all the time. Like I would like, especially within sport or like let's say playing a show, like I would always in my head like go back to all the awesome shit I did. And like of course I made mistakes, but I was
Right.
never thinking about them. And then at some point I got wrapped up in a culture of like maybe I overheard someone saying like, oh, like when that guy was talking about like the game he just played, like he only brought up like the three good things that he did and he's like stoked on it, but he made this mistakes. And I was like, wait a second, like I do that. Does that make me like stupid for thinking that way?
Oh
And then I read this
no.
but then I read this book and the guy was like, yeah, like some I forget there's a bunch of like testimonials or I don't know what they're called, but like when they bring up like real life stories and he interviews these people and one of them was like this professional, I think football player or something who did exactly that. And what he did was he cut up a video reel of like him only doing good stuff and he threw out the footage of him ever making mistakes and he watched it and that's how he saw himself. He's like, this is the player I am. Like I'm so good at this and this. That's what I'm going to be and that's who I am. I'm not going to worry about the mistakes kind of a thing. Which then I read that and I was like, shit, like I was like sort of innately onto the right thing, but then I let someone else almost talk me out of that. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right.
Yeah, it's a good book. Like literally so many people I know have read it and honestly just yesterday I recommended it to two people.
Yeah. I'm that way with like the ones I read too. I'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
if you think that way, you should probably X by Y.
Yeah.
but
Nice.
but yeah, no, that's such a good point because like maybe it's something I always did and I just didn't have like the terminology for it until I like just really started to try to like learn about myself. But it's
Mhm.
just like when I'm like almost faced with panic, it's just like, all right, but like you've done it before,
Yeah.
do it again. Like you know what I mean? Like it's just like it sounds so easy, but like we just had to come up with like what 5 different friggin' analogies for like what could have been such a simple, but it got us there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But like whatever, it got us there.
Yeah, I think the hard thing is though like is the attitude and like the awareness when that stuff starts coming up and it's like cuz I know dude I had like a gnarly almost like I don't want to say panic attack this weekend but as close to having one as I ever have been
Okay.
and I was like it was one that was difficult for me to sort of notice and like overcome which I know like sometimes that's going to happen, but there have been other times where like the anxiety starts popping up and I really notice that it's there and then it's a lot easier for me to choose a reaction to it when I'm aware of it and sort of like take it either as a challenge or like breathe into it or sit with it and see if I can like get past it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so like you were saying just like something triggered in my head about like embracing that discomfort almost as a challenge and reframing it as like an opportunity for either a little bit of progress or a little bit of growth which you can then put in your mental bank account and the next time you're in that situation be like I've done this, I know how to approach it, like I can do it again and I can keep doing it
Yeah.
again, you know what I
Yep.
mean? For some reason that just like that came to me
Yeah. No,
based on
because
what you were just saying.
yeah, because I said there's the performer in my head that I have to reach out and call upon.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's I've put like honestly, very recently, like honestly within like the last week, I've put like a lot of my thought process into like the idea of like I can only control how I react to things.
That's
And like
empowering.
even like at work, like people that like normally drive me up a wall, I'll just stop and like just smile and be like, silly. Like you know what I mean? Like this whole
Yeah,
thing's silly and it's gonna be over in 10 minutes. Like just let it
yeah,
just let it run its course. Like you know what I mean? And
yeah.
like
Dude, Johnny, like that I think is one of the keys. I literally think that's a superpower. Like the only thing I can control is like how I'm reacting to whatever's happening around me.
right.
Um, and if it's something threatening, then I'm getting the fuck out of there. But if it's something that I can realize like how I view it and how I frame it is gonna affect how I feel about it, then like I'm gonna try to do that in a more positive way than a
Right.
negative way.
And right, if it's like, and especially in terms of like people, if it's like people like I'm willingly spending my time with, and I'm realizing like, oh, these people are kind of dicks. Like,
Yeah,
I can either speak up and like, you know what I mean, and like
yeah,
try to like repair whatever is broken there, or just make the decision that these aren't the people I need. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah,
or if it's like a situation I'm stuck in at work, it's like, all right, well, I can either be me and hope that turns this person around, or I gotta just weather the storm. Like these are my options. Like you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, and it's gotten me
yeah.
to.
You yeah, you gotta accept it, right?
It's like
Like,
improved my mood a lot to stop being like, like this is the life I'm stuck in. Like nope. All right. Well, I'm gonna continue to be goofy and happy, and if these people don't like it, that's their problem.
yeah, dude, I think that you got it right there, man. And I think like the more that you behave like that, like I'm a big believer in like that type of energy will find its way around you. You know, like if you're being your good, happy, like normal, awesome Johnny self that I know that you are, like if someone has a problem with it, they're gonna exit your space, and people who like that are gonna enter your space,
Right.
and they're only gonna be better off for it, as far as I'm concerned.
Which is what I want. I want to better everyone around me.
Yeah, dude. You
I
got.
like.
I want you to better yourself too, man.
I will see. I like posted something on Twitter like the other day. It was like, oh, like the person who takes care of everybody, like who takes care of that person or whatever. And I was like,
Hmm.
I like take care of myself by taking care of everybody. Like I don't know, like I need that pat on the back that like I know that like I'm affecting people positively. Like you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah, I think that's pretty sick that you've discovered that, because like I think I've been playing with this so much, dude, because like again, the whole Big Brother energy thing, like I'm going so fucking hard for everyone I know,
and
and
and I was able to pun it with my own name. Like
dude, it's so clever. It's so perfect. But it's awesome that you know that that's something that fuels you, and it's definitely something that fuels me as well, but I have gotten to the point where personally, just in my own journey, like I feel like the scales tipped so far to a lot of output and not so much input, which is where I kind of came across the like being my own backer kind of mantra, because like I gotta feed myself too, because like for me I need both, you know what I mean?
right.
Um,
Um remember, I mean, I've only watched the show because I've heard you guys talk about it. So you've seen The Good Place, obviously.
yes.
And you've seen the whole thing, obviously.
I have seen the whole thing.
Okay. So I won't go like heavy spoilers for everyone who hasn't. Especially because
Nice.
like it goes off the rails after one season.
It really does.
But like so like for the people who like don't know it without spoiling it, like she wakes up in heaven and realizes it's a mistake, she didn't belong there, they have the wrong person or whatever. And
Hmm.
then there's the character Chidi who's like kind of like stuck with her and she like begs him to like help her change so she can just like fit in there and like
Yeah.
what I was convinced until the show went off the fucking rails.
Yeah.
I was convinced that the big twist was going to be it wasn't a mistake and it was Chidi's heaven to like help people get into heaven. Like, you know what I
Oh yeah, yeah,
mean?
that's a good one.
Because like he dedicated his whole life to like all those philosophies and everything. So I was
Yeah,
like, this is probably what he's actually meant to do in the afterlife, help people find their way into it.
yeah, that would
um
have been a cool twist.
yeah, no, the show's fine the way it is.
It is.
It's
It's
such a great show. But yeah. So maybe that's like what helped me fucking put it into perspective for myself of like how that is how I am on Earth. Is like
yeah,
it is my like self help to help out
yeah.
there.
I think that's cool, man. And like every time you have the opportunity to be doing that, like do it, keep doing it, and like consistency is everything, man. You know,
Oh yeah.
just like I love that you got the podcast thing going. I think it's gonna be awesome for you and for everybody else to come on here and share a little bit about themselves. I think it's cool, like the overlap that's going on. Like you guys in the first episode, you were talking about like you specifically brought up the idea of like you don't want to sort of pin yourself in one specific niche,
Right.
which I think is like I think that's the way to go, dude. Because like when we first opened this episode, I think I was talking about like so many different areas of
Yep.
interest that I have like overlap with yours, and like me and it's Pasta TV, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like him and I probably don't have nearly as many overlaps, but we're still both like here with you, at
Right.
least through some interest. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. I would never try to like I would never want to, and I would never tell other people to sort of like either push certain interests aside or like bury them for the sake of like only connecting with certain people, because like the people you're connecting with also have probably many different interests. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, I don't know. I guess like especially in terms of like connections with people,
Mhm.
it's more like personality that I'm concerned with, like connecting with, of like, like do I get along with this person? Like, do I like trust this
Yeah.
person? Like, do I feel like this person has good intentions or whatever? Like, and if those answers are yes, like I don't care if like I'd rather play Legos and they'd rather, I don't know, play volleyball. Like,
Yeah.
I'll learn about volleyball because it's interesting for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like people
But
do
then
that a
there
lot. Like they'll be like, "Oh, well, you don't care about like volleyball. I won't talk about it." I'm like, no, but I care about you, and you care about it. Like, talk away. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's like again, like it's just so on brand for you, dude, because like it's it's so obvious that you want to help other people because of your curiosity like about them, and like what you're just describing now is just another way to connect,
Mm,
right? Which I think is awesome, and it's what people need to do more of, you know?
yeah, I'm glad I get to start with you too, because like I didn't want to like quickly find myself in a spot where I was just like only having streamers on. It just ends up being like a podcast where streamers come on and promote themselves. And it was like
Yeah.
important to me to like get like different people from like different aspects of my life on, and like to just so to like have like him come on and be like, oh yeah, like I do have a job, but like my passion's the content creation, and like I game and all this, and then to just like turn around and have you on and be like, oh yeah, well like I moved to the beach and like I spend my life trying to like play volleyball like for my life. You know what I mean? Like I'm glad
Yeah.
I got to have that like hard switch like right off the bat before I like
Yeah.
accidentally backed into a corner where it was like just like a different streamer every week.
Yeah. No, I love that, and I think you've like just you've opened up a good space for people to just like be open and honest, right?
Yeah.
Because even though like even though what I do most of the time is trying to play volleyball, like I'm still like I grew up such a nerd.
Right.
Like having Phil as an older brother, like just instantly imprinted video games on me. It
Right.
imprinted board and tabletop games on me. Like the type of music that like I like all music, but a big influence in the type of music that I like to play and that I was
Right.
sharing with people and identifying with through my whole years growing up. Like I think it's awesome and I love it. And like one thing that I always was like, I don't want to say struggling with, but something that was on my mind through my developmental years was like being an athlete, which traditionally a while ago was seen as something like more popular people do, but like absolutely loving board and video games growing up and also playing punk rock music and like I don't know, so it's nice to connect with different people because then like who knows who's gonna see it and be like, oh no, that's sick. Like I like that I can create content and stream on Twitch, but I can also like play punk rock shows on the weekend
Right.
and I can try to, tear it up at the local Y in my rec basketball league or
Oh
something
yeah,
like that,
listen, I got down with church league volleyball once upon a time.
Yeah.
I'm no Amylon,
Yeah.
but
But that's awesome, and like people are just so
but
unique. Like the
I was
idea
pretty
of
good compared to the rest of the average people only doing it for fun.
I have no doubt you are an Amylon. Oh no, I leaned in like
Oh, I've done it a couple times.
nice.
I can't help it.
But yeah, I mean, it's so cool. Like niches are now either so incredibly specific because it's the person and all their interests, or they're so general because there are so many different things that you could be
Hmm.
like interested in, right?
Right.
There's a unique shift happening. And that Dan Koh guy talks about this. That's why I love him. He's talking about like the digital renaissance. So a renaissance man is somebody who's like generally pretty good at a bunch of different things, right? They're not a hyper specialist, which with everything kind of moving online with content creation and with um education moving online through like digital educators like and digital mentors, like generalists are probably going to win because they can connect with more people, right?
Right.
Something I've been thinking about.
Yeah. It's funny because like the conversation me and him had was like about how like the algorithms like determine so much like when you're
Yeah.
on YouTube or Twitch or whatever. So like he has like, oh, this channel for that and this channel and like and my big rebuttal was like, yeah, and maybe that's why like I don't hit any algorithms and I have to like rely on my punk rock laurels of just promotion and like is because
Yeah.
like I don't want to limit myself to what I think will be seen. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I want to A, be genuine, and like that's not who I am genuinely, and B, I want to just touch as many people as I can, and like not everyone's gonna, like you said, have the
Yeah,
same
like
level of interest in the same things, even if they have interest in the same things.
yeah. And like those aren't your people, right?
Right, right.
Like there's 8 billion people in the world, like there's a really cool quote. I don't know who it's by and I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but it's like because of the invention of the internet, you have there's now the possibility of like 8 billion monopolies or something like that.
Right.
I'm probably absolutely butchering it, but
No,
because
right, but like,
we're so incredibly connected, like through the power of the internet and through like content, whether it's video or like I like Twitter a lot because it's writing and it's very easy to share things on Twitter. Like you can more easily find yourself in front of the people you should who are going to connect with you rather
mm,
than like I understand, like I totally get the algo game, like you probably have to play it. I don't do anything on YouTube. Um but you want, like you said, you want to be genuine. You want to build that trust. Like you don't
right,
want to just do something to grab somebody who's going to end up like following along and being like, "Oh, this isn't what I thought I was like jumping into." You know what
right.
I mean?
Like if I don't know, and that's just like that's and it's different if like that's the stuff that like you're trying to like he's trying to like make that like his life. Like you're trying to make
Yeah.
volleyball like you and like if I have to work a real job and like do this on the side and like 20 people see it, if a handful of those 20 people felt like they had a better day because of it, then awesome. Like you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I'm not
Yeah.
trying to like pay the bills by tapping into people's good feelings. I'm just trying to tap into people's
Yeah.
good.
No, and I think that's awesome.
I think he mostly does NFL, like the reporter Jay Glazer.
I do. Yeah.
So he wrote like a book about his like experiences with like depression, anxiety, and all that.
Hmm.
And I've taken a lot of what he said to like really like put my own like crap into perspective and everything. And
Yeah.
he puts such a emphasis on just like being honest about it and just talking about it like it's the part of you that it is. Because like the people who can't might start to because it's being normalized, and
Yes.
like the people who don't get it will start to learn to understand so they can like learn how to be around the people who do.
Yeah.
And like even his big story was like Sean McVay, like the coach of the Rams,
Yep.
and how like one of the first conversations they had was like about him bring up his like depression, and like he calls it like the gray, and like Sean McVay like didn't get it. And
Yeah.
because like he had it like explained to him by him, and it was like I didn't know like people dealt with this, and he started talking to like the rest of his staff and like the team about it, and like now he has like those kind of people like therapists, and like that's part of like their recovery and everything now too, is like now that he
That's
knows it
awesome.
exists, like he, you know what I mean. And just like just the simple like notion of just like because he's open about it, it helped like the perspective quit for people who do and don't think about it.
Yeah.
So that's when I
Yeah, that's
started
really
doing stuff
cool.
like this and like the brand and like just ways to get people just talking honestly. And that's what we do
Yeah.
here. I'm just gonna have people come on and talk honestly and make people more aware of we're all doing it. We're
Yeah.
all it's like
Yeah.
we talked a big game about like how we like rewire our brains and like we like try to be confidently, but like that doesn't mean like it always works personally, you know what I mean? And like
Hmm.
and I'm gonna try not to go back to it every time, but I'm already 2 for 2. Like there was that like Michael Phelps clip I found and like shared like immediately, and how like the most important thing he does is just like have those people he can check in with and that check in with him, and just to
Yeah.
keep having the conversations, and how like he has like the 2 bracelets that say like BU on them, so like everything he does he's just trying to like be genuine and like to take care of the people who take care of him. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
that's like exactly what I'm trying to do now, and like that's why I put
Yeah.
checking in with and like the person's name with, because I'm taking his words and like officially pasting them here, and that's what we're doing on the podcast. We're being ourselves and we're checking in.
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, I think that's awesome. And I love, again, like I love the space that you're creating here. And like you said, like those who do and don't think about it will have exposure to it, and it could create like an insane ripple effect, right?
Yeah, because I can like how many situations probably grow uncomfortable just because someone is dealing with something on the inside. The other person doesn't know and just assumes that person's being like off put to be off put, or like a dick to be a dick, or like weird to be weird, you know?
Yeah.
Perspective changes everything.
Yeah. No, it definitely does. I like it.
You have anything else you gotta talk about?
I don't know. Like what? Do you have a time cap on these things? Because
Well,
I could talk all day.
me and Dave spoke for 2 hours. So I mean,
Nice.
and I'm pretty sure if he wasn't like, "Oh my god, it's 11 o'clock," he would have kept talking.
Really?
Listen, I'm on your time right now. My
You are.
lap,
What time is it, Johnny?
my laptop says 11:27.
It is 11:27, my
Yeah,
friend.
my watch with the right time on it. You can't see it, but they can. Dead. It's
Ha!
dead. Like, it's 11:28 for all I care.
It is
I
11:28.
don't have work today. That's not going to have any repercussions.
I love it, man.
um, we kind of like jumped into like the in our head stuff right off the bat because of who we are as people.
Yeah.
But I feel like you didn't really talk much about like your life as like someone trying to like make sports a life.
Yeah.
So if there's anything you want to talk about, like your, or even like advice wise, or like just your own experiences wise, or
Yeah, I don't know.
right,
um One thing that I've been thinking a lot about lately, and it definitely relates to sports specifically, but I also think it relates to almost anything in life, is like, so my sport is really weird because it's not super popular in the United States, but it's extremely popular worldwide. As a Like the top professionals in beach volleyball aren't really making a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to travel around the world and play these tournaments. But the big thing is like the Olympics. Like making the Olympics and winning a gold medal as a beach volleyball player is like, it weighs so heavily on everyone, and that becomes such a major focus. But I've been thinking a lot about like my life, and I want to get as good as I can, and I want to play professionally. But I don't want to put myself in a position to like really weigh some future experience so heavily that I don't experience like life getting there. You know what I mean?
gotcha.
So you hear a lot about like athletes, at least in our sport, because I'm connected to it. So I know that there's like this gold medal depression type thing that comes after winning something like that. And you spoke of Michael Phelps, and I think he went through something similar, where like his whole life led up to all those Olympic games and winning those medals. And once it's over, there's kind of like, well, what the fuck do I do now? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I've been thinking a lot about just like the journey of life, even like outside of volleyball, like literally like birth to death kind of a thing. And I've been trying to remind myself that life is just a summitless journey that doesn't end until you die, essentially,
Right.
right? Like every summit that you perceive in your life is just a temporary peak to hopefully another climb, right? Which tells me that no matter what you're doing, I'm really hoping it's something that you're enjoying, and you should be doing something that you enjoy, and also like obviously have goals and work towards them, but be present throughout the process of working towards those goals, because you don't want to get to that point and be like, oh, I worked so hard just to get here that I didn't really like enjoy it on the way here. It's like that Ferris Bueller quote, right? It's like life moves pretty fast if you don't stop to look around.
Right.
Like every once in a while you miss it. Like that has been ringing in my head so hard. So that's kind of like something I feel like I've been learning recently. And like also thinking of the idea of success and failure, like less so based on outcomes and more so based on like growing and
Right.
learning, enjoying things like that. And even like like one thing for you, you're not as focused on it right now, but like with the XP up stuff, like I know that that was a grind, but I also know that you like doing those things. And like if you were still in it or you went back to it, like my advice to you would be like what the steps are the best part. Like the
Right.
journey is the best part. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like making the connections at PAX, going to PAX, hanging out with people, connecting with potential people who you might have on this podcast. Like those are the cool things, and those are the things that make setting a destination like worth moving towards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't want to get all preachy, but you asked me, I think like maybe what I've learned throughout my process of trying to become a
Yeah.
professional
Yeah.
beach volleyball player, like that's definitely one of them, and something that I try to instill in everyone I come across if they're willing to listen to me. Like I coach very young kids up to adults, and it's just, are we getting better? Are we having fun? Are we doing things that we want to be doing? If we're checking those boxes, then I think that's a piece of living the good life, you know?
Yeah. For sure. You know, the there's like the Barstool podcast, like Bustin' with the Boys. It's like Taylor Lewan
Yeah.
and Will Compton. Will
Mm-hmm.
Compton talks about that a lot, about how like these kids at like the youngest age decide they love football and they start playing
Yeah.
football. And if you want to do it like professionally, you spend like literally like every step of your trying to get there. And then the average NFL career is like 3 or 4 years. Like obviously
Yeah.
like the greats play for a long time. And he always says he considers himself lucky to make it to like 7 or 8 years. And it's just so like
Yeah.
even like at your most successful, you spent like 16 years preparing for something you only did for 2 or 3. What are you doing now? Like you know what I mean? Like what did you do to like
Yeah.
prepare yourself for what's next, good or bad? Like
Yeah. And like for me, like let's break down the Olympics, right? Beach
right,
volleyball, you have two players on a team. So you have the men's side and you have the women's side. So every 4 years you have four gold medalists. So average every year one person is a gold medalist. There are so many tournaments and things that happen between those 4 years that should matter. And it's like the same thing with like, like you said, the greats in football play for a long time, but there's only one roster every year that gets to win that championship, and more players never win a championship than do. So I hope you're having fun. I also know that their professions get paid a lot more money, so it's at least they
yeah.
have
But
that
I
going
think
for
that's
them.
another thing. Like he kind of reminds people is that like again like the top tier people are making like top tier money, but like the people that just kind of like have a career for a few years got to be smart with what they got because it's not like the fortune that like the greats are getting. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's still way more money than I see. So, but you get what I'm trying to say.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then also like I hope that they are like they have more obviously to their identity than just being a football player, because that transition out of sport is
Right.
probably extremely hard, but
That's what he
like
saw.
we were talking about. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Like that's like his point. It's like you spend like your whole life building up to a moment that might only be like a fraction of the time you spent getting there. So, like,
Yeah,
what did you do to set yourself up to be complete outside of it?
yeah.
Mm,
And then the other thing, like football is pretty easy, so if you play like 3 years and you get drafted maybe at 22 years old, we're looking at like you're retired before 27.
mm,
So if you played football from like 7 to 27, that's 20 years. Like after you're done playing, you will probably live a longer life after football than your whole entire in football life was,
right.
right? If you make it to 47, then you match that. And I'm hoping that these guys are living a little longer than that. So you have an entire longer life outside of football than you did ever being involved in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why I'm like, life's a summitless journey where you gotta enjoy the process of everything you're doing and embrace different pieces of yourself and like get curious with what you like to do. Because that's something for me too. Like right now I'm injured, like my knee's not doing so great, and I don't have access to playing volleyball because I'm rehabbing.
Right.
So that piece of me is currently not there. So I've had to embrace other things and get back to my other interests and things like that, and it can be a tough mental thing to deal with when something like that is taken away from you.
Right.
So I think putting it into perspective of like, this is just, I'm just growing and learning and getting better at like walking the earth through the
Right.
medium of sport, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some random thoughts that I have.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're here for. Plus, like
Yeah.
you say part of like how you like pay the bills or whatever is like you coach,
Yes.
and you mentioned like you're coaching people your age or maybe even sometimes older, like,
Yeah.
and like these people trust you, like you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like. No one's going
Yeah.
like no one's saying this guy can't even play himself. What am I going to learn from it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair.
So like you're doing.
That's fair.
I feel like that says a lot about your character. You know what I mean? And like and how serious you take everything. Because like not to say like you shouldn't like not take the opinion seriously for people like who may not be like where you wanted to be, but like people trust you can get them there. So
Yeah,
it shows
true.
like you know your shit, you do your work, like, and you're someone that can be trusted. And like, what else can you ask for in a person than those three things?
Yeah, that's fair. And I think like part of why I like to coach and part of why I can never seem to like get away from it is like the essence of this podcast. Like I just love to root for other people, and I think like it's a little easier for me because I'm a smaller person in a big sport
Mm,
or a big person sport. And so many people just instantly write off people within sport based on how they look physically. But like there's just so much more that I think people are capable of, that they just need a backer, someone to believe
right,
in them, and someone to show them how to do things. You know what I mean?
right.
So that's why I tend to gravitate towards coaching, because again, like I'm in your corner. I'm doing everything I can to help you enjoy whatever the experience is. In this case, it's playing volleyball and getting better at volleyball, but it doesn't matter. Like, like this with the podcast. I feel like one of the first things I said to you is like, I fucking love that you're doing this. And I tried cheering you on as much as I could with XP up. Like,
I'll revisit that someday. I just gotta like reassess what I was doing.
yeah, I mean, like, uh, yeah, like you're doing what you need to be doing right now, right?
True. It's true.
But that's what I mean. That's part of what I bring. Like I'm gonna root for you. Everyone can win. I think to a degree.
Yep. To quote an old coworker of mine, "All my dog's gonna eat.
Oh, my dog's gonna eat.
All my dog's gonna eat." That he said that in a completely non-deep situation.
Was it actual dogs?
No, no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
I gotta feed all these dogs.
It wasn't. It wasn't that unserious.
Oh, that's so funny.
It was like something silly. Like he bought somebody like a coffee with like money that somebody gave him. And he was like, "Yeah, all my dogs eat." It was like literally just something silly. But now I'll say it all the time. Like we
I love
we
that.
called him B-Rad. Like the friggin' what was it, Malibu's Most Wanted? They called that guy B-Rad. Not to say he looked like that guy, but like that's where like we heard it first.
Yeah.
And there's like so many situations like, well, the quote B-Rad, all my dogs gonna eat.
Nice.
It's just funny that
That's
even
so
like
funny.
in this actual serious context of like, yeah, everyone can succeed. I found a way to go back to that one silly quote.
That's awesome.
I hope somebody I work with listens to this and goes, "Oh my god."
If they make it this far, like
Maybe,
I
I
don't
don't
know
know. How
why
many
you're that
times?
interested
How
in
many
me.
times in 2 episodes have I said my job's meaningless and anyone can do it?
That's so funny.
They do it. They know.
Fair. They understand better than anyone.
Right.
Nice.
Oh man.
I feel like, did we talk enough games?
I I don't know. Oh, what games did we talk about? We talked about Zelda.
Oh, I did have a question actually,
Okay,
and
I'm
we
listening.
we we hit a pretty gnarly tangent when we were talking about Zelda.
So that's like
So
that's like my goal. My goal is that like the conversation will just keep pulling itself in any direction it wants to, and at the end there's just like a conversation so genuine that I can just throw it out there with minimal effort, which sounds lazy, but I mean that in like a fun way. Like
yeah,
this is like a legit conversation in its purest form. I hope it does something
yeah,
for you. Like, you know what I mean?
that's awesome.
Like
So going back to Zelda,
All right.
what's your number one? If Ocarina's
Oh,
two,
it was
what's
Wind Waker.
one?
I did say it.
Oh, it was Wind Waker.
Because
Okay,
then we went on a whole tangent about art styles from there.
we did.
Yep.
So Wind Waker, Ocarina, Link
That
Between Worlds.
that that pulled us on such a tangent that you forgot it even came up.
It did.
Yeah, Wind
Bad
Waker.
on me.
No, 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 it's fine.
Nice. Nice. Good choices. I want them to remake A Link to the Past and The Link's Awakening art style so bad.
I always like want to put Majora's Mask up there.
That's
Cause
a
like
game. Listen, I have that for the 3DS, and I've tried it many times. And it's not that I can't get into it, but it's that I have no fucking idea what to do. And I want to figure it out for myself. I don't want to look it up on the internet. You ever
Yeah.
have games like that where you're like, I'm just so stubborn about getting this
Yeah,
puzzle on my own?
and that's like a tough one to do it with because there's like so much of like so you keep doing the same 3 days, so you could like make sure you do something each time basically to like
Yeah.
continue on. But it's also like you can't do this thing unless you did the other thing. But if you did this thing first, it's a little too open. I get that for like one area and like a 3 day time span. There definitely is way too many directions.
Yeah. Let me ask you, I have a question. I'm going to ask you top three different genres. Most influential to you game you've played, which
Okay.
I feel like I might know the answer. Most influential tabletop game that you've played, and most influential band you've listened to.
Uh, Now when you say influential, you mean to like my tastes of those things, like or
Either either your tastes, maybe something that's changed the course of your life, maybe something that opened you up to a whole new world of like other games or music you wanted to listen to or that you wanted to create yourself. It can be pretty open ended.
um, it's tough. This is tough. Especially like the like tabletop and board games thing, because I don't think I ever actually really like think about that. Of like I kind of like know like the first people and like first games and stuff like that, but never like stopped and thought about like what was the one that made me go, oh yeah, we should do this shit all the
Yeah.
time. So I gravitate more towards things like Dungeons and Dragons,
hmm
but despite that, I think I'm gonna say Magic the Gathering
Oh, that's a good one.
because I feel like there's always that like gateway of Magic the Gathering of like, well, I just like the art, so I like the cards.
Yeah.
Which like having that like initial spark of having a reason to learn more about the game was there more so like similar to Dragon where someone had to like sit me down and be like, this is the game, this is how you do it, this is like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
but having that like tangible like having something in my brain go, well that's cool. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel like was important to having me try other things.
Yeah.
It's like if like something in my brain didn't go like, oh, I like this aesthetic, I wouldn't have played the game, and I probably wouldn't have like searched for other games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So even though like I've moved on from it, and even if I want to play like a card game, there's other ones I'd rather play than that.
hmm
I do just feel like it's such like a gateway game for people for a good reason. It just has to be the
hmm
answer.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the game's the hard one,
The video game's the hard one.
right? Because like I know like what games I like think fondly of and like are my favorite games, whether it's for like the gameplay or like whatever reason. I don't know like the game that made me a gamer. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like I know like that my first gaming memories are like Punch Out and Kirby.
Nice.
And
Would
like
con would console be easier to answer?
yeah, only because it's so easily N64 because it was like the first one that was mine.
Yeah.
Um I mean I almost want to say Super Smash Brothers
Nice.
because it introduced me to like characters that I didn't know, which made
Yeah,
me
that's
seek
cool.
out their games, which taught me like just how different like genres are that are out there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because like a lot of like my favorite games pre were like platformers. You know what I mean? Like because I
Yeah.
had a Nintendo. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
but like I never knew who Samus was pre Smash Brothers.
There. Yeah.
And even like my first like actual experience of Samus in one of her own games was Prime. So again, going back to like the older ones, even though like they're thought of more fondly, were like new to me when I saw them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like Ness, I had no idea who Ness was pre Smash Brothers, but because like I played it and enjoyed it in Smash Brothers, I like went out and sought what it was from.
Yeah. I feel like Ness was a. I feel like Smash Brothers was a big gateway to Earthbound for a lot of people.
Right, right. Um, and as they put more and more stuff in, it just introduced people who were like having fun with the game to like characters they might not have sought out otherwise. Like I love
Yeah.
Persona 5, but I only played it because they put the dude in Smash Brothers and I wanted to see like what the big deal was. Like you know what I mean?
That's
Like
that's very cool.
right, right, that's what I'm saying. In fact, you have to like name him in the beginning, and I named him Smash Bro as a joke.
Nice.
and like, and then you have to like name the group of kids. I named them like DLC Cash Grab. Because I was like,
That's
dude, because like when
hilarious.
they announced it, I was like, there's no reason this dude has to exist in this game. Like he's not like he's never been on like Nintendo in any way. Like he doesn't even
DLC
fight
cash grab.
himself in his own game. Like you know what I mean? Like well, I guess he
Yeah.
kind of does, but like.
Amazing.
But because like I like sought the game out with like sarcasm almost,
Mhm.
I ended up enjoying the game and like I you know what I mean? And like a game I only
Yeah.
tried because of his appearance in that game.
Nice.
So I feel like I'm gonna say Smash Brothers for that reason. Even though like I am so not a competitive person with Smash Brothers. And I know a
Mhm.
lot of people who like are.
Yeah.
And I almost like don't like playing with those people because of
Yeah, that makes sense.
but yeah, I think it was important to gaming and me as a gamer because it just like it just showed me characters I didn't know existed, which showed me their games I didn't know existed.
That's cool.
Right.
I like that.
What'd you think I was gonna say?
For game,
But you said you thought you knew.
I thought for sure you would say The Last of Us, considering you have it permanently inked on you.
Well, yeah, but like that was like supposed to be like a bonding moment between me and my art. No, well, no, it's true. Like it was
Yeah.
that was part of it. Was like she does all these like other things that I don't even think she understands because I want them, and I was like, well, this is something we both like. So like you enjoy it too, and you go wild and like what I mean, do something
That's
you
cool.
like. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Um. I definitely love those games. I played those
Yeah.
like recently.
Yeah.
Like I started one after two came out, and two had been like
Really?
out for a bit too. It wasn't like it's not like I'm doing now with Paper Mario where I go I should play this one because this one's coming out. It's like they were
Yeah.
both out,
Mhm.
and a friend of mine was telling me how much he loved that game or whatever, and I just didn't understand the game, admittedly.
Mhm.
Like I was like, oh yeah, I don't know, I'm not like into like big open world like survival games like that. And he's like, no, dude, it's just like a linear story. I'm like, oh wait, really?
Yeah.
So once I knew it wasn't like that like long kind of grindy like Skyrim kind of game I don't really gravitate towards, even though they're popular. I
Yeah.
was willing to give it a try, and then got sucked in, and then went right to the second one. Um,
Nice.
yeah, but when you say like a game that like I guess like influenced me, I was trying to think of like a game that was like made me a gamer. Like you know what I mean? And I was already very much a
No, yeah.
gamer when I played those games.
It's an open-ended question.
The band's the hard one.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to make you edit this because I need to use the bathroom.
Okay.
So you think about the band, and I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm gonna like hard cut it right here, and then you're just gonna be back in a second for the people watching.
I'm so fast. All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. I'm gonna show the camera my Commander Cody Lego. And I also have this is the Droideka Legos. I mentioned Legos though. So the Droideka actually like does have like the spine to like defense curl like they do in the movie and the TV shows. That's pretty cool. It also came with like a little mini Droideka for like its little nameplate. It got tangled in a wire because I am who I am as a person. There it is. A little mini Droideka. I also have. I don't know what this thing is called. It's probably just like called a tank, right? I wish this wasn't as loose. This little gun part. Probably like a tank, right? But it's a little smooth thing so it can move on the desk, you know? But the Lego store gave it to me on May the 4th when I bought these other things I'm showing you. And I built it too, so. Those are 3 Legos I did recently. Actually, also in this little room. I call it my stream room because I don't really stream anymore. Oh no, I can't find them. Oh, there they are. I also have like model kits that aren't Lego. This is Gengar. That.
All right, so I just time jumped, and I'm hoping that some random memory doesn't just come back to me and cause me to panic.
So you're not. I don't think you're gonna time jump because I might keep this in and just edit out your camera
Okay,
because I just got bored and started showing the camera all the Legos that I did down here.
nice.
And there's actually like a Gengar model like just on the screen that you can't see. And it's just like I
Mhm.
had it like looking the camera as you walked by.
Oh no, I'm paralyzed.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, while he's gone. I was like, here's my, and I just picked it up. I go, here's my Commander Cody little Lego brickhead,
Oh
because
man,
it was like sitting right
Alex
next.
is unable to move.
Yep. So we'll see how I handle that. But I might just keep it now because I
Nice,
just showed off all the
nice.
Lego. But because I did that, I definitely did not think of a band yet. I also got like a whole different tune. It was pretty impressive. I was like, this is Commander. Like I'm like like it's a documentary. Like I'm like telling the story.
Nice.
um, the music one's hard for me
Yeah.
because I like just so many different artists of so many different genre.
Yeah.
Um, and to that point, as the musician, I've inserted myself into plenty of different genre.
Mhm.
Honestly, I want to say probably like Incubus or some 41.
Nice.
Just because, like, they were like some of like the first bands that I remember like finding myself and like finding more myself in a time where I couldn't just open Spotify and have it make a playlist for me.
Yeah.
Like I
Right.
had to go to like the CD store and figure out the where the rest of their music was and like gamble that it was worth spending my money on.
Yep. Oh yeah, I
and
remember those days.
and yeah, and the album with Fat Lip on it was probably like one of the first CDs like I owned that wasn't like a burned CD that I gave my family computer AIDS with.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm gonna lean that way. Although like as like a musician, I very rarely go like, ah yes. I listen to a lot of Sum 41 and then this is what produced for my own music. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like they've
Yeah.
influenced my music necessarily.
Yeah.
But they're like in a time where like finding new music wasn't easy. It was like some of the first music I found myself. Um Guns N' Roses, but not for the reason you're thinking. Um, when I have to write something, I listen to a lot of Guns N' Roses. And
Because of
like
inspiration.
kinda, and it's not even so much that I like even like I do like that music, but it's not like because that music is so like inspirational to me or like um or is like up there for favorite music for me, more so than just like specifically as a bass player, I respect that bass player and I find we have a lot of the same tendencies, and I don't mean like literally like the notes I write, but just like he knows when to show off, when to be simple, when to let the singer be the spotlight.
That's
And
so cool.
like one of the teachers I had kind of showed me that about him, and it's just one of the few things that like resonated with me because I didn't really like the guy who told me it, but like I did like respect that opinion and learn from it. So
Yeah,
because like
nice.
that like always resonated with me, like when I feel like I really have to like write something good, I throw on Sweet Child of Mine and I just let Spotify take it from there. Like
Nice.
yeah.
That's cool.
Now you have to do it too, so I hope you were thinking on the bathroom.
Oh boy.
If
I
you
was
didn't
thinking
think
about how relieved I was.
if you didn't think you were gonna have to answer that too, I got I don't believe you. But
um, the band one I feel like is really easy. For me, it's definitely Sublime.
I was gonna say
Like,
try to say it with you because I had a feeling. I was like, no, I'll be
yeah,
wrong. He'll say like Blink-182 or Green Day or something, and I'll be like,
dude. So Green Day has to be Green Day and The Offspring are two bands that Phil was so big into when he was younger,
mm,
and I my room was directly next to Phil's.
right,
So I kid you not when I say like ever since I was like 2 or 3 years old, like I've been listening to punk rock. Like
right.
I literally grew up on Dookie, on Smash, like albums like that, and of course like Rancid and Out Come the Wolves,
Oh yeah,
No Effects, like stuff like that. So Green Day is definitely so influential. Um, it's so funny. I remember like I want to say I was in fourth or fifth grade, and I came home from school, and part of my homework was like to like write about yourself. You know, when you're in elementary school and people are like, "What's your favorite color? What's your favorite whatever?"
oh yeah.
So I had an assignment, and one of the questions was, "What's your favorite band?" And I'm in like fourth grade, and I wrote Green Day.
Yeah, see that would have been way too young for me to have an answer for that question. I don't feel like I even like really discovered music yet at that point.
Yeah, so I had, at that point I had been conditioned for years by Phil
Yeah, see,
to be
I was the
listening to this
oldest.
type of
Nobody was
music.
conditioning me. I had to self
Yeah.
condition.
So, dude, it's so funny because obviously that music was inappropriate for like a very, very young kid. And I show my mom my homework, and she's like, "Your favorite band's Green Day?" No, it's not. And I was like, "Yes, it is."
What do you mean? No,
Like,
it's not.
she's like, "You don't listen to them." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I do through my wall hours on end every single day." So it's
Amazing.
funny that you bring them up because they did play a huge role in the music that I steered towards, like as I got older. But like
Yeah,
Sublime is everything to me. They were one of the first bands that I loved so much, discovering from a good friend of mine. And like to this day, if I pick up drumsticks or I pick up a guitar, like I instantly go into some sort of like reggae beat
right.
or like reggae riff of some kind. That's like my shit. I love it.
That's valid. That's kind
But
of how we accidentally wrote "It's Been Years" too, because you were
yeah,
just kind of like
yeah.
fiddling around with a beat like that, and I just kind of started like, and Pete's like, "Wait a minute, I
Yes.
rewrote this song."
Yeah. So I love all kinds of music, but I have a quote from one of their songs tattooed on my ribs. I know for a
Well,
fact
that's valid. I
that
have a quote from a band on my leg, and I didn't even bring that band up for any of my speech. But go on.
if I'm like on my deathbed and like someone's gonna pull the plug, like play Jailhouse by Sublime while it's done, and I'll be happy.
Not
Like,
Badfish.
not Badfish. Jailhouse is my favorite Sublime song.
Right on.
Badfish is great though. All of it's great. But Sublime definitely most influential. Although of course the list is so long.
That's fair.
And then video game. Let's think about this. This is a tough one. I didn't realize how tough it was when
I'm
I asked you
saying.
this question.
Like I said, I obviously know like my favorite games, but I just like hearing the question, I interpret it more like what's like the one that made me like know I was a gamer and like want to keep playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my fondest like early gaming memories was like I said were like Punch Out and Kirby because they were what were there and it's what I had. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like on the N64, like Banjo Kazooie, like I don't know how many people this happened to or how my house got selected, but like they said like marketing back then, like there was no like internet the way we know it. They sent out like a VHS tape that was essentially like a minute, like longer than a minute. It was like a long like commercial for the game, and I watched that tape like daily
Yeah.
because I just thought it was like the coolest like story, and like I don't know, I've always thought like shape shifting was like cool as like a superpower. So
Mm-hmm.
like when that was part of it was like you see the person and he turns into the animal that you need to be for the thing like that like at an early age that snapped in my head I guess is something that was cool to me. So like
Yeah.
my family like basically had to go out and get the game the day it came out because like they had I think it was just so I'd stop watching the VHS tape to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So like obviously like those things came to mind when you said it, but like it wasn't how I interpreted the question, even though those are like easy like important games to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think that I might have to say maybe Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Is this
I
for
think
you as a musician or for you? No, I'm just
like literally both. Like
yeah, no, that's valid though.
there are other franchises where I've bought more of the games, I've played them longer, I've
Mm,
put more money into them, but I think that at the time when I was becoming a person who was really into the music I was into and like starting to play music on my own, like Tony Hawk, THPS, like definitely entering my life and sort of solidifying me into that type of culture and being a skateboarder for so long
right,
myself, like throughout high school, like that definitely pushed me in certain directions that led to other things that maybe not have happened, like being in a band in high school, eventually being in a band like with my brothers and with you, and like that game was so much about the culture of my life
right.
and playing video games. You know what I mean?
Tony Hawk is such like an important video game franchise.
It's so important. Imagine a world where we don't have that. Like that would be
Right.
crazy.
Like the music it helped people discover. Like it
Yes.
probably like unlocked like the like urge to learn to skateboard for people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to actually go out and learn to skateboard. There were probably kids that only did because of that.
Yeah. Dude, discovering first of all, Tony Hawk is easily responsible for introducing me to Goldfinger. 1,000%. I would not know. I probably wouldn't really know Goldfinger without Superman on that first
You know what's
game.
funny is like Goldfinger is probably one of like the bigger bands of mine like that I listen to a lot currently,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably not because of
Really?
like I remember like Shorthanded Goal was playing a show and like whoever the promoter was had us go to like Goldfinger and Real Big Fish to like hand out flyers or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, Goldfinger, like that's Superman from Tony Hawk. Whatever.
Yeah.
Fun. Fun. And then like while they were playing, I was like, wait, is Goldfinger actually like really good?
Yeah.
Like, is this happening? Like, are they actually awesome?
Yeah. Goldfinger is so good.
They're so good.
Dude. Yeah, that discovering dead Kennedys like really like some gritty punk rock, like so much good shit on those albums or on those games. So I think that's probably the most influential game.
That was great too, because like it had like objectives,
Mm-hmm.
so you could like seek to beat the game, if you will, or like beat your friends at or whatever. But if you
Yeah.
felt like relaxing, you could also just like skate around and listen.
Yeah, you could.
So like, I feel like super cool for at the time. Where like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it
It's
just
like
checked a lot of
multi-purpose.
boxes. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
because I'll still do that
That
now.
was
Like,
rad.
they did like the remasters or whatever, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
like just throw on free skate and just not think about it and just see whatever happens as I listen to the music. But
Yep.
that's still something
Yeah,
I'll do to this day.
I went back through those games on a couple flights last season, just going to tournaments either on the East Coast or up north, and
Mm.
such a good game.
Dude, I wish they would do the same kind of like remaster the two games together with the underground games next. Because I'd
Yes.
love to go through those stupid little fucking stories again. Freaking
Yeah.
Pam Cher was in the
Dude,
second one.
dude. Those were so great, man. I remember the mechanic to get off your skateboard when that first came out was like mind blowing.
Yes, and like I got so good at abusing that to like get every high score I needed that
Yeah, you
like
like combo up and off.
right, and I got so good at abusing that and to like use that to easier get to where I wanted to start what I wanted to do. That
Hmm.
like not being able to do that and like just Pro Skater 1 and 2 is brutal.
Yeah,
Like having
that's
to
true.
actually skate everywhere I need to go is awful.
Yep. Manual and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the video game. Board games are tough.
Yeah. Games art.
I like kind of have a couple in my head. Like, I feel like probably the board game that really opened me up to the idea that games could be like a little more complex than like a Monopoly or like even a chess or like Clue or something was probably Risk.
Okay.
Risk really, I loved playing Risk when we were younger. And I think part of it was like seeing it be played by Phil and maybe some other adults when I was a little too young to play it, so I didn't get to, and then eventually finally getting to play it when I was old enough to understand it, and just being so blown away by like, whoa, there's a lot of shit I can kind of do here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's valid.
That kind of like opened the door to more complex
Right.
board games for
Because
me.
before
Like,
stuff like that, I guess like the most complex thing was like setting up Mousetrap and then never actually playing Mousetrap, just watching the thing.
dude, my fucking one of my older siblings broke Mousetrap before I could get to it.
No.
Yeah.
I used to love
So it
throwing it
didn't even
together
work.
and just I never even played the game. I would just like just watch the thing go up.
Yeah. Yeah, that dude, like the guy who falls down and shit.
Yep.
Oh, so sad I never got to actually play that game.
Yeah. We had this like I don't even want to call it like a board game, but it was like a plastic crocodile and like its
Yeah, with
mouth
the
was
teeth?
open. Yeah, and you press the teeth one by one and
Yeah.
hope it didn't like snap on you.
Yep.
I feel like that's sneaky another one of those like moments where you're like, "Oh, I enjoy beating my friends at games more than just like sitting down and playing Monopoly." Like, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like that's
yeah.
like where I really like start like use my brain for like puzzle games and like stuff like that. Where like, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
how do I outsmart people? Even though it was
Yeah.
really just chance in the end, but at the time it felt like I was really just like dissecting the like.
Yeah. Games that required thinking took me a while to get around to understanding I need to be thinking about more things than just my current turn.
Right.
Like I caught on to that pretty late.
That's fair. That's valid.
Yeah. Now if I beat Phil in a game, I'm just ecstatic.
Yeah, that's like that's tough. That's the
That's the bar.
that's the that's a high bar, man.
That's the summit.
That's the summit.
Yeah.
I'd love
Yeah, those are
to.
probably.
I
Sorry, go
wish
ahead.
life was just simpler and it was just easy to just get together and play board games all the time.
Me too, man. I tried to do like tabletop simulator. Have you used that?
I haven't, but
It's
I
difficult.
just I need a new gaming PC is all it burns down to,
Yeah.
and I just don't feel like ponying up the money for one.
Yeah. That's fair.
but but there's like even like when it comes to like D&D and stuff, like there's like Roll20 and like other like ways to play online and stuff. And like a group I used to play with at like Untapped games out here, they started doing it on like Roll20 and Discord and stuff during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And like since I was in California at the time, like they tried to like get me to like play again and everything. Like, well, we all do it online now. It'll be fun or whatever. And just like it's not the same, man. Like I hate to be like it makes me sound like a cranky old man, but it's just not the same as like being at a table with people.
Yeah.
I like I like being able to like roll my dice and all that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and
No,
then
I agree.
even if it was like the same, it's just way too distracting to be at my computer. And how am I expected to not touch all the other things on my computer while we're doing
Yeah.
it? So like we'll play. Me and my friends will play Pathfinder on Tuesdays, and like there's like an app for like character sheets and stuff, and they all use that and all this other stuff. And I'm like using like the pen and paper or whatever because I know as soon as I
Mhm.
start like playing on my phone, like I'm just gonna start doing everything on my phone, and it's gonna ruin the game for me.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. I'd rather
I'm old.
like hang out
Yeah,
with people.
for sure.
Definitely.
I we literally have to like plan like a month and a half in advance, like Pasta TV and like that friend group of mine.
Yeah.
Like I remember it was like late March when we decided that like May 4th was gonna be like the next logical time all of us were around to get together and play Magic together. Brutal.
Yeah, that's how it goes nowadays.
Just
What have you, other than Paper Mario, like what have you been playing a lot lately?
nothing. No. I started Dave the Diver. I'll probably go back to Dave the Diver because it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Um, I got Helldivers and I really enjoyed Helldivers, but like I still won't play it alone. Like I'd still rather play with people I know than with strangers. So like I don't really play to play it that often because I'd rather just wait for people.
Yeah.
Um, I think Dave the Diver I'll go back to. I'll finish the Spider-Man New Game Plus.
Nice.
Um, but because like I spend such a chunk of my day with like the gym and with like books and stuff, the like hour or so I have left to play a video game has been going to Paper
Nice.
Mario. Yeah, I've actually turned my stance on audiobooks. And I listen to a lot of books that way now because I can do it like while traveling to other things I have to do.
Yeah,
At the gym, I can have it on.
that's good.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny because like I feel like a lot of people ask like, "Oh, like, what's your like workout music? Like, what do you like?" And like I just like I work out to like sports podcasts and audiobooks.
Same, dude. I
like
put so many podcasts on while I'm working out.
yep. Because like I don't listen to music passively. Like you know what I mean? Like listening to music is like the activity for me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
like I pay attention and I like air drum and like you know what I mean? Like I don't like
yeah,
listen in the background, but like people talking, yeah, if I miss something, that's fine. but yeah, I guess Paper Mario is really the only. I play a lot of solitaire,
hmm
like literally like you know playing card solitaire.
yeah,
Um, but usually it's not like for the fun of playing solitaire. It's like a healthy distraction from something else.
Yeah.
Like, so like I like can't sleep at night and I feel like my mind wandering, I'll like open solitaire on my phone and just kind of flip through the solitaire cards until I fall asleep again,
Nice.
to avoid like doom scrolling and thinking too much about what I'm looking at, and like and keeping
Yeah.
myself up that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Or like in like car rides, like obviously like I'm not the one driving when I'm doing this, but like I'll like play solitaire until we get where we're going. Like, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, just to not like freaking have my mind wander. Like, yeah, solitaire.
Nice.
Not the answer you were expecting, I bet.
Not what?
Not the answer you were expecting to that one, I bet.
No, honestly, it wasn't. But I like it. I
Yeah.
like a good curveball.
What have you been playing?
So because
Minecraft.
of the fall, dude, yeah, a little bit. I man, I love Minecraft. I like
That's awesome.
a buddy of mine tried to get me into it for years, and then finally during COVID, like
Oh yeah,
the
that's
dude
fair.
bought he bought it for me, so I was like, okay, I guess I have to play it now. And I just got so hooked on the therapeutic side of just kind of the mindless mining, and
Right.
then the creative side of like actually building stuff is really cool. But ironically enough, one of my buddies who I hang out with a good bit, like we were playing a lot of Mario Party Superstars,
Oh yeah.
and he was obsessed with the mini games. And I have the SNES Classic that a very good friend of mine, Mr. Johnny over here, helped me acquire back in the day. And I was like, dude, I got a little portable SNES I could bring over, and we could play that. And like finally one day he was like, all right, we'll do that instead of the mini games, which I was like, thank God, because we had been playing just like the same two mini games over and over again.
Right.
And we started playing Street Fighter, and like before I knew it, we were like 120 matches in, and I was like, I need to go home, dude.
I'm wearing a
So,
Street Fighter shirt right now. Actually, you can't see it.
are you
Yeah,
really?
it's Street Fighter 6,
That's
but yeah.
this is obviously Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Right. Oh yeah.
And so we play that like once a week, and we play easily at least like 70 matches a night, and we've gotten at least like head to head so good that like it's a literal chess match every
That's
time we
awesome.
play. It's so much fun. And so he like he loves it, and like he never like usually I'm the guy who's like not leaving, like wanting to keep playing, but
Right.
like he's the one in this case where it's like, dude, I gotta go. So
That's amazing.
he just bought a Raspberry Pi, and he got it modded, or like I don't know what you do with it because I never had one, but he has
Right.
like literally everything up to like PS3 on it.
That's awesome.
And we just beat the other. Did you ever go to United States of America?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the Simpsons arcade game?
No, but
Dude, it's a 4-player beat 'em up arcade
okay.
Simpsons game where like Mr. Burns kidnaps Maggie, I think because she gets a hold of a diamond or something like that he's trying to steal or
Of
something.
course.
And you can play as either Homer, Marge, Bart, or Lisa.
That's
So
amazing.
we beat that, and then we beat the Turtles in Time arcade game just the other day. But lots of Street Fighter, just absurd amount of Street Fighter.
But yeah. It's
Dude,
funny you bring that
so
up like
fun.
in the same vein as like Mario Party and all that. Because like I have like that stack of like Mario Kart, Mario Party, Mario Golf, Mario, like all these like party games, and they just like collect dust. But
Yeah,
like I can't look them up being like, well, I need these in case I have people over, like, or in case I like,
yeah,
like me, you, and Pete that time when like got on Discord and we all played. I'm like, well, I need these for those kind of days. Like those
yeah.
days
We should
happen,
do that again.
like those days happen daily, like
Yeah,
like that's something that happens all the time. But
it's
like
like break glass in case of
right,
emergency.
right. Like if they announce like a new Smash Brothers or like Mario Party like later today, I'd like go out and get it because like oh I'm gonna need that for when we all play together. Like that's like it happens like it happens all the time.
Right. Oh, I would
Oh
like for
man.
more of that to happen. My perfect situation is being able to play video games online with you and Pete and maybe Phil, just like, I don't know, once every other week or something.
Yeah, we should probably work on that.
We should definitely work on that. But yeah, that's what I'm playing.
If only there was just like enough time to play games.
Yeah, there definitely isn't.
Listen,
So hard.
it
I also
wasn't.
play a lot of Tetris.
That's fair.
I love the Game Boy app on NSO. Lots of Tetris.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Man, yep. In a perfect world, we'd all just have enough money to pet our dogs and play games.
All the dogs gotta eat.
My dog probably does have to eat, actually, but actually,
True, it is 12:24.
actually, more specifically, because I kind of just like put the food out and let him go to it throughout the day because he won't eat it all at once. He'll just kind of like graze throughout the day.
Yeah.
But more specifically, he probably really needs to go outside because he probably hasn't been outside since before the monsoon started.
Oh yeah.
But no one's alerted me otherwise, so he's probably fine.
Could be.
Yep. We also accidentally went over 2 hours.
Oh shit.
Yep,
What are we at?
2:10 on my screen.
Oh my gosh. So much talking. I love it.
Yeah, I know. Good thing it's only 12:24.
Yeah. Still got time to eat lunch and go coach later.
I mean, I'm saying that like it's like 3:00 so late in the day that the day's. But
It's fine. 3 between like once 3 comes and then 4 approaches is when the day turns for me, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh, there's not a lot left.
So usually, like, I gotta work around like 8, and then I'll go to the gym, and then I'll like, well, now that it's nice, I'll walk home. So that's like, by the time I'm like done with like the quote important stuff, it's already like 11, and I'm like, oh, great.
Pretty late.
Yeah, right. I get
Bedtime, I guess.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. I gotta find one of those like out in the afternoon jobs.
Yeah.
Granted, that's gonna require getting up earlier, but it'd be worth it.
Yeah, true.
The other side of that is I can lay around until like 10 and then just get up and go.
That's not too bad.
Right. I think I'm good. If you're good, I don't know if there's anything else you got on your.
No, I think I'm good.
On your brain.
Thanks for doing this, man. And thanks for having me. Like, this is sick.
I was gonna say thank you for doing this.
Yeah, man. I love the message. Yep. I love you. Like, I love all of it.
We checked the boxes. We were ourselves and we checked in. The only boxes.
Sick.
I have no format. I didn't even write down questions this time. Last week I had like just in case questions.
Yeah.
But just in case, Jesus take the wheel didn't work the way I wanted it to. But we're 2 for 2 for it not only working but doubling the time expected it to go. So
amazing.
Jesus is just gonna take the wheel every week.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I still don't know what to call myself. If I should call myself What That Meowth Do, or if I should call myself Johnny Mana, or like whatever. But I've been Meowth and or Johnny. He's been Alexx Amylon. And we're gonna continue being those people, but we're not gonna do it here anymore. Goodbye.
Bye.